transistor. Now the question is that why there is need for going for biasing. So already we are having the transistor, then why we should go for biasing of transistor? Okay, so we are knowing that we can use transistor as an amplifier. Okay, we can use it as a switch. These are the different application parts. But whenever we are going for making the transistor to work as an amplifier, we will make the emitter based junction as forward bias and we will make the collector based junction as the reverse bias. So whatever you are having the input should be your forward bias and your output it should be the reverse bias. These are some of the basic rules that we should know. Okay, then only we can go for designing of any circuit. Okay, next, say suppose here we are taking the example of one NPN transistor. In NPN transistor, here you are having emitter, base, and this is your collector. If we are going for your germanium type, in case of your germanium, there the voltage you are having 0.2 volts. In case of a germanium, between your base and emitter, you are having 0.2 volts. But if we are going for a silicon, that is your 0.7 volts. So if we are going for designing of transistor with the help of your germanium, we need 0.2 volts, and if we have designed transistor with the help of silicon, we need 0.7 volts. But 0.7 volts. This problem we are having. So if we are having some DC voltage that is directly providing these two, then we can implement it. But here we don't have direct this type of voltages. If we are going for the DC voltages, generally we will have say 1.5 volts, 3 volts, 4.5 volts, like this different voltages we are having, DC voltages. Okay, but we are having the problem that we don't have this one. One more thing related to biasing is that whenever we are going for considering a transistor for working the transistor as an amplifier, generally it may be possible that there may be uneven amplification. So whatever the amplification you will have in the positive half cycle, you may not have the same in the negative half cycle. So in order to avoid that uneven amplification, that also we are going for the biasing. So when we are going for the biasing of the transistor, we will have the whatever the amplification we will have the proper amplification in both the half cycles. Okay. So here we are having this problem. So what we will do that we will go for designing of some other thing. You just see. Yes. One thing I will do. Suppose when this is one circuit. This is your common emitter configuration. Emitter is common to both input and output. This is one common emitter configuration. This is the basic circuit we use to go for amplification purpose. Here we want to make this base and this emitter as forward bias. As we want to go for making this base and emitter as forward bias, our need is that this VBB should be equal to 0.2 volts in case of your germanium and 0.7 volts in case of silicon. But we don't have that facility. So as we don't have that, so we have to replace this. This will not work. Okay. Because if we are not getting this one, this will be no longer forward bias. It may become say reverse bias or some other. Okay. So this circuit will not work. We have to go for changes. What changes will be? We are going for introducing a current source. Here we are going for introducing the current source, say IBB. IBB is the current source. Here you are having IB, base current. You are having this base current. Now, if we are able to IBB equal to your IB, then we will have your base emitter as forward bias. If we are able to make this IBB equal to IB, this is your base current. If we are able to make your IBB equal to IB, then we can have base emitter as forward bias. So whenever we are going for designing this RB, we have to consider that one. That what is the current that is flowing through it. Okay. What should be the value of the resistor? So as to make your IB is equal to your IB. Okay. So we are making this IBB equal to IB. Then what is the value of your RB? So from that we can find the value of your RB. Okay. So first we have calculated your IBB should be equal to your IB. Okay. Next. Here in this circuit we have removed this one. We have already calculated your RB. We have already calculated the RB. Now here you are having VCC. So here you are having IC, and from here you are having IB. IC and IB, these two currents are flowing. So first condition we have already covered. We have covered that your base and emitter should be forward bias. The second condition that is required is that your collector and emitter, say output, this should be your reverse bias. In order to make this reverse bias, what is the condition that we are having? We are having that the voltage drop across your RB should be greater than. So what is the voltage drop here you are having because of this resistor? It should be greater than what is the voltage drop you are having across this one. Okay. So what does this mean? This means we have already calculated the value of your RB. We have already calculated the value of your IB. So IB we are knowing, RB we are knowing. So on the basis of this condition, we have value of your RC. Okay. So on the basis of this condition, we can calculate the value of RC. As already we have calculated the value of your RB, and now we are calculating the value of your RC. Now we can go for designing the transistor, or we will able to complete this biasing. And this type of biasing is called fixed biasing. Fixed biasing means once we have calculated the value of the RB and RC, that is fixed. Now we cannot do any modification in that one because your resistors are constant. All these resistors will be constant. So whenever you are going for designing of transistor, this type of biasing is called a fixed biasing. This is one way by which. The second method by which we can go for biasing, that is biasing with the feedback resistor. That is biasing with the feedback resistor. So this is the circuit for your biasing with the feedback resistor. Here you are seeing that you are having two different resistors you are having. Okay, this is your IB, this is your IC. If we are considering this as a junction, then as per your Kirchhoff's current law, this is your base current and this is your collector current. Then what is the value of the current that is flowing from here? Whatever the input current will be there, that is equal to your, say whatever the incoming current will be there, that is equal to your outgoing current. So these are two outgoing current that will be equal to your incoming current. Incoming current will be your IB plus. Kirchhoff voltage law you are having VCC is equal to IB RC plus IC RC plus VCE, and from that if we are giving the VCE at one side, remaining parameter to the other side, we are getting this equation. Okay. Now, but if I am considering what is VCE, this VCE I can also say it as it is your IB RB plus VBE. This one. Okay, if I am considering this, then I can say that your VCE is equal to this also. This also I can say. Okay. So this equation is from this loop, and this equation is if I am considering this loop. Okay, from that I am getting this one. Now this is it. I also know that if I am going for a transistor, in general transistor you are having I is equal to IB plus IC, and you are knowing the beta of the transistor. Beta is your IC by IB. Here, say suppose if you are seeing your IE, that is your emitter current will be equal to the base current plus your collector current. But if you are considering your base current is very much minor. It is in terms of your micro. Okay. So if the emitter current is your milliamp, this will be in terms of your micro, and you have this one. So from this we can say that your emitter current is nearly equal to your IC. Okay. Your emitter current is nearly equal to your IC if you are connecting the value of your IB, because IB is your very small value. Okay. Okay. If there is increase in your beta will also increase. If there is increase in temperature,